you want to hear something crazy? The fundamental problem with the marriage relationship is found on page 3 of the Bible. Like, think about that for a second, that even today when marriages fail, it's been predicted in this 5,000-year-old document, right? That blows my mind. Check this out. I want to tell you a story real quick. Okay, God creates Adam. He creates him out of the dirt. And he creates him out of the dirt on purpose because the dirt is his domain. You see, he is created from that wild, dusty frontier, and it's that frontier that he's always trying to return to. And God gives him a job, not just any job. This is like a big CEO-sized job. He says, name all the animals. Man, imagine the scope of this, the creativity that would be necessary. Right? He's got to come up with all these names. A lion is a lion because Adam said so. A turtle, a giraffe, a giraffe. Imagine the intrinsic danger in this, right? He's got to go into the wild and find the great white shark and call it so, right? This is what Adam was created from and for. And then he creates Eve, right? Not from the dirt this time. No, he creates her from his side. It's so cool that Adam actually gets to name Eve. He calls her Isha in the Hebrew. What's crazy about that is he has not yet called himself anything. It's almost as if her identity in becoming known as he names her helps him identify himself. Ish. Isha, out of man, Ish. Man, God has brought you to your spouse too so that you might know yourself. It's crazy. I'm not even ready to get there yet. But he creates them too, and then he gives them together this job. He says, go into all creation, steward it, and bring that chaos into order. He gives them together this job. We get this mixed up sometimes, right? We think that that's Adam's job. He's supposed to go and do the work, and she's at home taking care of the babies and making the food, so he comes in. That's not what God intended ever. He was calling them both to step out in the chaos and bring it into order. And this thing goes south, though, as I'm sure you guys know. The enemy, man, he does not wait 5 minutes to get up in there, right? He doesn't wait until the candles are blown out from the wedding ceremony. He jumps right in there, and what he wants to do is attack the goodness of God. And he comes up to Eve, right, as the Bible says, and he says, did God surely say you should not eat of any tree? Of course, God did not say that, right? And let's talk about these trees real quick, right? There's these two trees. You've got the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and you've got the tree of life. And God says, every other tree in the garden you can have except for these two trees. And really, we can just really quickly boil it down to this. He's giving them a choice, God and not God. You can choose God and to walk into all that I've created you to be, to step into your destiny, or you can choose all that is not God. And it's really that simple. Why did God do that? Because he wanted to create a place where love could flow freely between us and God. And you guys know the story, I'm sure. Eve responds and she says, no, he didn't say any tree, but he did say this tree. We're not even supposed to touch it. It's like the hook is set, you see, because God never said that she couldn't touch it. In fact, God just said, don't eat of it. And so she's willing to compromise on that narrative. And then, of course, Satan tells the first lie, at least the first lie that we're exposed to. And he says, you shall not surely die when you touch of it. Man, that lie, it's so cunning, right? Because you can just imagine Eve biting that fruit, taking that first bite. I'm alive still. Oh, but that lie, man, that lie is why we have human trafficking, right? That lie is why we have wars and genocides. It was that lie right there that has spun us into disbelief at the goodness of God, that has had and wreaked all this chaos around it. It was that lie. She eats of it, and the text says that she gives it to Adam. Oh yeah, Adam. Where is Adam? The one who's called to go into the great unknown of his wife and bring whatever chaos is there to order. Where is he? Is he out taming some great white shark or something? No, the text says that he's elbow to elbow with her. He's right next to her. That's the passivity of man right there. And Adam passes that curse right on to his sons. The sons of Adam are still standing passively by as the snake slithers his way into the house and adorns the wife with lies spun like pearls, right? And they eat of the fruit. And this is the fundamental problem in the marriage relationship. The Bible's going to go on to call this the curse. You see, he turns to the snake because of this, and he says, all the days you will slither on your stomach. And you will be at enmity in a fight with man now. And we experience that in creation. Creation groans for the revealing of the sons of God, right? For things to be made right, because there's a schism, there's a break in our relationship. He plants right there the good news of the gospel. I don't have time to go into it, but he says to Eve, he says, your seed will crush his head, though your seed will be bruised in the process. That's future Jesus. And he turns to the woman. And he says, out of pain, you will now bring forth children. And your desire will be for the role of your husband, but he will rule over you. See, this is the main problem for the woman, is that she has this cycle now that is ever present and ever reminding her of the reality of the pain that is coming to bring forth children, or the pain that is yet to come. You see, that is ever present and constant and all-consuming for her. And that she develops, therefore, a soul tie with her offspring. And that soul tie is something that was never meant to be. It becomes all-encompassing, and it becomes her identity. Not only that, but the text says that she now desires the rule and authority of her husband, but he lords it over her, man. And how many guys, man, how many of you, your woman is trying to fix you? Your woman wants you to be a better leader, a better father, a more present father. Well, that's because this was predicted all the way 5,000 years ago on page 3 of the Bible, right? This is the fundamental issue. Of course, he turns to the man and he says, now, out of the ground to bring forth fruit, you will have to toil and labor, and by the sweat of your brow and the blood of your fingers will you be able to bring fruit from the ground. See, his focus is turned from his spouse now, and it's on to his work. His work becomes all-consuming. His work becomes all that he can think about. He wakes up thinking about the job. He goes to sleep thinking about the job. It's all he can do anymore. This is the fundamental problem. Woman desiring the role and authority, creating a soul tie with her offspring. Man so busy at work that he's losing the world. Luckily, man, the Bible gives us a mirror for the curse. This is what I call the gospel marriage. This is in Ephesians chapter 5. This is so beautiful. Well, check this out. Ephesians 5 says this: wives, submit unto your husbands. Now, I want to talk about the verse before it where we're submitting to one another, but I need you to understand this. Why would you go there? Why would Paul write these words? Well, it's because this is how the wife unravels the curse. It's by going low first. It's by surrendering herself first. It's about laying herself down as a declaration of Christ's love. Right? Now, some of you guys might be thinking, no, not my man. He is not even worth surrendering to at all, submitting to, no way. That's why the very next verse is this: submitting as unto the Lord. That text could even be read like this: as Jesus would submit. So that actually when you do lay yourself low, you are like your Savior, and you're declaring something greater. You're declaring the unraveling of the curse. You're declaring that the fundamental problem with the marriage relationship will be undone because of the gospel. And what does he say to the man? He says, love your wives as Christ loved the church, so giving himself for her, having presented her as washed by the water of the word. And think about the scope of this responsibility. Man, you can't put all your focus on work anymore and still love your wife like Christ loved the church. You can't live into the reality of what that is to present your wife as washed by the water of the word unless you have experienced the cleansing touch of Jesus, man. This is putting your work aside, right? This is saying, no longer I'm going to be focused there. I'm going to be focused here. I'm going to be present here. And when a man understands this responsibility, man, he stands taller with his shoulders back and his head held high. He realizes that the great challenge of loving his wife and loving her well is how he fulfills his destiny and how he becomes like God. And I'm telling you, when you understand the scope of this, you're up at 4 a.m. reading the word, man. How can I wash this woman by the water of the word if I don't even myself understand it? And so you see the man unravels the curse as he loves his wife. And here's the best part. Wife, if you want to fix your husband, if you want him to become a better leader, you lay low and you surrender. Man, you want a soft wife who loves and respects you and honors you for the work that you've done, then you need to love her as Christ loved the church. And guess what? When you guys both step first into that unknown and you were the first to do it, you both end up getting what you've always wanted. That's the crazy part, man. Wife, you'll look at your husband and here he is. He's waking up in the morning. He's taking care of the kids. Why? Because he's focused on meeting your needs and understanding who you are. And husband, you'll be like, oh, she's happy with me and she respects and honors me. She wants to be around me. It's because, man, you get what you want. Now, here's the craziest part of this passage. As Paul says this, all this that I'm saying, when I talk about marriage, I'm not even talking about marriage. I'm talking about Christ and the church. You see, the reality of marriage, the eternal, real purpose of marriage is to show Christ and the church. Every day that your marriage makes it, it is a megaphone to a dying and hopeless world that love wins in the end, man. And when I understood that this is the reason, man, this is the purpose, man, I said, this thing cannot fail. This thing with my wife, it cannot fail. I often say to her, if the gospel doesn't work right here, then it does not work at all. And so understanding this eternal reality gives you the fight that you need to wage the war that God has called you to unravel the reality of the curse and set your legacies free.